Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over kind of the final electrical for the house and the property and how it how it turned out. So I figured I'd take you through what the final product looked like and kind of maybe reiterate a little bit of the architecture for those who haven't seen it. So here's where we start. We're at my shop and power's coming in there at the meter. Got a 320 amp service, split off into two different panels. One panel is a back-to-back on that meter inside my shop, feeding my shop. The other panel is this one right here. This is a feed-through panel. Okay, and hang on. This is a feed-through panel. Okay, so it takes the power coming in at the top, but it also takes power going out at the bottom. So it basically passes through 200 amps of service and gives me 8 breaker spots right there. And that is the circuit for the temporary power that my builder threw in early on in the project and decided to put that breaker in the middle. I don't know why, but if you're mildly OCD like me, that should really bug you. It bugs me. But that's turned off, disconnected, so because we're done with temporary power, I just need to clean it up and remove it. But this panel actually feeds the house. So this is my first disconnect coming off there, and we go underground all the way over there to feed the house. So the run to the house was 125 feet or so. So I wasn't really worried about voltage drop. And since that's the first panel for the disconnect, I had to treat the rest of these as a sub panel. So I had to run 4 wires. I had to run 4-aught aluminum for the hots. I did a 2-aught aluminum for the neutral and a number 4 for the ground, all aluminum. It was basically 4-wire mobile home feeder cable. And I am perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly comfortable downsizing the neutral. You know, they sell those quadplex cables like that for a reason, and it's going to be perfectly fine. Show you this panel. So it comes in here into the house, and this is another feed-through panel. So we're coming up out of the ground into here to a main disconnect, and then it's going into the house for the main panel. Here I've got 8 spots out here. So I've got 100 amp for a pool sub panel, 50 amps for my heat pump for the HVAC, 1 HVAC to run the whole house. I got a 20 amp here, 240 volt. This is actually a multi-wire branch circuit. So I've got 2 circuits with a shared neutral here. That is feeding my gate. So I actually ran 2 circuits out at the gate since I'm running, such a long ways and it's a long distance that limits the amount of amps I can have. And if I'm pulling 1, 2, 3 wires for a circuit, I might as well pull a 4th, and then I've got basically doubling my ampacity, right, for the circuit. So that's what I chose to do. And I won't travel down to the gate to show you, but basically the idea was I've got 1 circuit for the switch, cameras, gate control, everything like that, and I have another circuit for any lighting. And last I did the math, each of those circuits, I should be able to pull about 5 amps before I start to get concerned about voltage drop. Which is plenty for LED lighting and what I need to do. So it's a little overkill, but it was easy enough to do. Here is a spare circuit I ran to the far side of the house that I was going to feed a chicken coop for later. Easy enough to do now. So that's just kind of capped off in a box. And then that is a 30 amp, 120 volt, right, for the septic, the aerobic septic system. And then, hang on. You get to see me. See if I can do this one hand. There we go. Okay, that 100 amp sub panel is right here. It's a pool panel. So this is for the pool equipment later on and basically anything else. And I've got 1 circuit here so far. I just have a 20 amp and it goes to that GFCI right there. And that is feeding basically all the outdoor lighting, decorative lighting. So that GFCI will feed like a low voltage transformer when we do landscape lighting eventually. But I also have it wired into these outlets up there, and of course you can't see it because that floodlight, but you see that bell box right under there in the eave. I've got one there and I got one on the front side of the house, and I put those up there for Christmas lights. And those are run on a switch inside the garage that I can show you in a minute. And figured that was a good idea to do at the time. So that way I can turn Christmas lights on and off from a switch in the garage, or I can install a smart switch and then, you know, Alexa, turn on the Christmas lights, that kind of stuff. Integrate that in the home automation. I guess that 50 amp circuit that you saw powers the heat pump. So it goes there in that conduit to a disconnect and then to the heat pump right there. I guess other electrical, I can't remember if I've shown this or not. On this side, here is where the inner system bonding bridge bar stubbed out and got installed. And you can see our DSL line there, using it for grounding or bonding rather, their low voltage system. The stub out looks like absolute crap, and I'm not happy with it, and I learned some lessons. So if you're looking at this and going, man, that looks horrible, I agree with you. It absolutely does. I wish that LB should be flush into the brick. It's just air. I'll give you the best angle to see the horribleness of it. But it does work. It's just ugly. Maybe one day I'll fix it. But that day is not today. Okay, moving on. I'll take you inside in the garage to the main panel. Oh, I guess final electrical while we're out here. We got, what? Floodlights, motion activated floodlights, basically around the perimeter of the house. On the outdoor lighting circuit. And then we've got, you know, coach lights for the garage. Moving into the garage. See, we did the kind of UFO looking garage lights because they were very cheap and very effective, and you don't need anything fancy in the garage. So we did 4 of those. Here is the main panel, and she's about full up. I won't take you through every circuit, but, well, I guess I can take you through every circuit. They're labeled. So, surge protection device, all right? That's required by 2020 code, and it's just a good idea to have, and it's easy enough to install now. So, we've got surge protection at the panel. I got 3 spare circuits, as you can see here by my labeling. EV 1, 2, and 3. So those are for future EV chargers. Since I got a 3-bay garage, I should be able to charge 3 cars, and I went ahead and allocated space. Then we got 15 amp for a fridge on an AFCI, very important that you get the right breaker tops for all these. So that one's on just an AFCI. GFCI was not required, so just AFCI. Second one is 20 amp for a microwave, and that's actually microwave, gas cooktop range, you know, for the igniter, and then the vent hood. All that on one circuit. Amp calculations were perfectly fine. I'm perfectly comfortable doing that versus having more dedicated circuits for these things. And as far as I know, that is completely the code. Oh, so I don't have to explain all these. All the purple are dual function GFCI, AFCI breakers. A lot of these circuits only require GFCI, but the dual functions were about as cheap. And I like the idea of having both for all the outlets. The white are just AFCI for the fridge, and then for the lighting, it didn't have to do GFCI, so I didn't bother with it. So going down, we got a dedicated circuit, 20 amp for the dishwasher and the disposal on a shared circuit for 120 amp, just to keep the wiring simple. Then we have our 2 dedicated kitchen circuits, right, required by code, 2 dedicated 20 amps. And then I've got 2 bathroom circuits. Since you have to have dedicated bathroom circuits, I basically did the first floor and the second floor for the bathrooms. We actually contemplated doing more than that because I have 3 daughters. And so if every girl in the house wants to blow dry their hair at the same time, we will pop a breaker, I would imagine. So I thought about doing a third circuit, but in the end, I didn't want to add the complexity. So I just imposed the limit of, listen, here's what you get. You all can't blow dry your hair at once. What's next? I'll just go down the list because you can kind of see upper bath and then upper recept 3. So receptacles, I basically have 3 circuits for receptacles for the upstairs and 3 circuits for the receptacles for the downstairs, splitting the house just in chunks rather than doing room by room. Since I did the lighting separately, to me, this made the most sense. I always liked the idea of, you know, doing light gauge wiring for the lighting and then, you know, the heavier gauge for the outlets and having them separate. So, you know, if I have to work on a light, I can plug in a lamp and vice versa. With battery powered LEDs, that logic doesn't really matter much anymore, but I still like the option. And I like the idea of being able to use the lighter gauge wire for the lighting. Then down here, right, we've got laundry. So you have to have a dedicated circuit for the laundry area. So that's what that's for. And then my dedicated circuit for my freezers. So on that back wall, I've got those 3 outlets there for additional garage freezers and fridges. Then moving up here, I've got a 125 amp sub panel up in the attic, and that is feeding the electric furnace with backup heat. So that's why I need that much juice. 40 amps for the oven. We have a double oven electric. 30 amp for the dryer. And then we've got hot tub. We have the master jacuzzi tub. All right. I've got a dedicated circuit up in the game room for a treadmill. It could be treadmill, some workout equipment, treadmill, or future state, one of those cool like wall mounted tonal, workout systems, those kind of things. Those require some juice. And so trying to future proof, and the fact that it's such a short home run to do, I went ahead and did that. Now this guy, 15 amp, those are all 20s, a 15 amp circuit for the tub supplemental heater. So we opted for the jacuzzi tub in the master, right? We had that supplemental heater. I hadn't talked about this in that video, but this is important that you want to do. If you do that supplemental heater, make sure they're on the same phase, okay? So the way these panels work, right? As you go down spots, A phase, B phase, A phase, B phase. And I know phase electricians, you know what I mean, don't split hairs, right? The one leg, other leg, I know it's a split phase system. I'm gonna call it A and B. So you want them on the same phase. Reason being, these are 2 separate circuits and they're going into that tub area, right? With water and everything. And on the chance that something actually happened, your worst case scenario here of voltage difference of potential, right, is 120 volts because they're on the same phase. If you had them on separate phases and the hot from this guy accidentally came into contact with the hot from this guy, right, you now have 240 volts of potential, and that's a worse day, right? So good practice, put them on the same phase. These next 3 are all the lighting circuits, right? And I basically put them into lower floor lighting, upper floor lighting, and then I have outdoor, garage, and laundry. So that's how it made sense to me to split them up, to try to balance the loads out. Those are all 15 amp circuits, and every bit of lighting in this house is LED, right? So the only loads of any significance on these would be fans, and even those are just a few amps. So next up, we've got our dedicated circuit for the network closet. Oh, nope. I skipped a lot. There, garage. We have the garage, dedicated garage circuit, right, for all the receps in the garage, as well as the ones up in the ceiling for garage door openers. That's what those are called. Yeah. Network, right, dedicated 20 amps for the network closet. And then the rest are just the general purpose receps, like I told you about, right, uppers and lowers. So that's the panel. You can see here, I've got 3/4 inch EMT conduit stubbed out and ready for those EV chargers. So what I will do, give you the kind of the bird's eye view. You can see 3 conduits and you can see the 3 boxes, right? And I will just bend conduit and run 3 parallel lines, right, to go, where's that? There's my finger. Going up and over, and then have a line drop down there, and then 2 lines here with 1 dropping down, and then the final line and that one dropping down, right? So, but no need to do that now, because right now things are still expensive, and I don't want to drop $100 on 3/4 inch conduit to do that. So I can wait. I'll kind of walk the house now and just show you some of the electrical finish out and some of the features. Here's that switch panel I was telling you about. One of those switches is for the Christmas lights outlets, and the other one is just a kill switch for those floodlights. So by default, they're always on. I always want them on, but if I ever want to disable them for whatever reason, I've got a switch. I can do that, right? And if I do a smart switch, it's even easier. Let's see here. So I won't take you through every little thing, but So most of the electrical that you've seen are all those can lights, right? So we've got these can lights are the primary lighting, and then the bathrooms, we've got your vent, right? Light and vent. In this case, I put it on one switch. And then we've got our vanity lights. So here's those. And then a similar light here in my son's room, fan, accent lights, right? And then vanity light in the bathroom. And we'll talk about the bathroom and stuff in a future video. Right now, I just want to show you the lighting. And also smoke detectors, smoke and CO detectors. Very important, you gotta have those. So here's in the kitchen, dining room fixture, supplemental lights. Here is the bar lights and the kitchen lights. And I haven't done a video on the kitchen or any of the finish outs, and I'll do that soon. So filming a little out of order, so don't even look at it, just ignore it. Pantry, all right, just can lights, nothing fancy. Living room, we got the big fan, 70-inch fan and can lights. This is a good time to point out with fans, right? As I just show you the other random stuff. A lot of these fans, especially as you go big, they are all DC motors now. And that's pretty cool as far as from a technology standpoint. But from I want to control my fan with a switch instead of a stupid remote that I have to mount on the wall next to the switch like this, I hate it. We hate it so much. But that's pretty much what you're locked into. It's horrible for any kind of smart home integration, for your normal fan control switch. So this fan and the one in the game room that I've got that I'll show you, I had to do this, no way around it. So that kind of sucks. So what I ended up having was, I've got one switch to control that thing, the remote. This is now a dead switch, all right? Which I absolutely hate, but I had no other option. What I would prefer is, on these normal fans, wall sconce light. Yeah. Is like in the master and the other bedrooms, we've got a normal fan, all right, with the accent lights there. But I'm able to use a normal switch. In this case, I've got a smart fan switch where I can go low, medium, high, you know, like a normal fan control switch on an AC motor does, and it works good. Most of our switches here are dumb switches. We popped for a few smart switches, you know, in strategic places just cause. All right, so here's the thing I mentioned earlier. You might have seen that happen or heard the click. That is my motion sensor. And as I walk into my master bath, a little soft light comes on. And that is for, you get up in the middle of the night, you need to pee or whatever. You can walk in here and not hurt your eyes and not mess with anything. So that worked out beautifully. And then I'll show you, here's our vanity lights. So same kind of fixture downstairs here for my area, my wife's area, cans, all right? And then there's the bathroom fan, but that's the soft light. And then that's a fan switch. And then there's the brighter light, if you want the brighter light. And then it just dims back down. And then that motion sensor also, I think that's a kill switch. So if I wanted to actually kill it off, I could. But, and then going into the master closet, kind of same thing, just more can lights, right? So nothing too fancy. Video's getting long, so I'll kind of hurry because there are some more details I want to show you. Office, fan, 4-inch can lights as opposed to the 6 inches that were everywhere else. Those really help with the light because you can see without them, just the fan by itself, it is kind of dim, but those really help brighten up the place. So our understairs closet, right? If you recall that, we got those lights. So we got a 4-inch there and that 4-inch down there. So plenty of light for the closet. Stairwell. We've got this drop pendant fixture and kind of a booger to put up, but turned out really nice and really well. So let's go upstairs. Upstairs, lighting. So Again, hall lighting here. Attic. Here's this side of the attic, which is, again, a switch on the wall, nothing fancy. And I just did the light bulbs, right, with the cheapest light bulbs that I kind of had lying around just to provide some light. But it's plenty of light for storage and lights up the room really well. All right. Closing the door, walking down the hall. Hit the other bedrooms and the fans, because the bedrooms, my kids got to pick out their fans. And oh my gosh, their personalities came out. Meet the fandelier. I don't know if you've ever heard of a fandelier. I hadn't until my daughter said I wanted a fandelier. So it's hard to tell from the picture. That is rose gold with very prismy LEDs. And when you turn on the fan, check these blades. These blades swing out. And it's a fan, so it's a stealthy fan when it's off. It just looks like a chandelier. Pretty cool concept. Installing this thing, the remote for the thing that we didn't wire in was in Chinese, if that gives you any indication as to the level of build quality, instructions, or anything like that. But it actually is pretty good. But one funky quirk that I've never seen before, and maybe because I'm bypassing the remote on this, is the LED color. You can change it, but the way the logic is on this light, we're at like a 5000K here, but if I turn it off, turn it back on, now the 3000K like LEDs are on. It basically has two pairs of LEDs, and if I cycle it again, now they're both on. If I cycle it again, now we're back to just the 5000K. Isn't that crazy? I don't understand, but whatever. Moving into the bathroom. Oh, I will show you one closet just so you can see. I won't show you them all. One closet light switch. Each closet gets a can. What I would do, okay, different. See how far back that can is? It looked great before the shelving went in. But after the shelving went in, man, I should have moved that a little far forward. I mean, I can do whatever I want after the fact, right? But that's what I would do different. So if you're doing this, something to consider. I would move it farther forward. Jack and Jill bathroom. Here are the little different vanity fixtures that the girls chose for their bathroom. And so those, and then likewise in here in the bathtub, we got, just a spotlight there, and then light, vent fan. And my other daughter's room, big sister got a fandelier, so of course she wanted a fandelier, a different one. This one is pretty cool. And same kind of deal, right? Where the fans swing out. So, interesting concept. All those little glass pieces on the other one and this one, like those little glass balls, yes, they came individually wrapped and packaged, and we got to put them all together. Rather, my wife did. So, kind of crazy. So I'll go bedroom. The other bedroom's next. So this is my other daughter's bedroom. She went with more of a traditional fan, and it's a nice fan. The light is a little dim for it, so maybe supplemental lighting in her room in the future. I don't know, but it's a nice fan. Not as flashy as the others, but that very much fits the personality of the children. And then here's her bathroom. Right, so we got a the same light, fan, vent, spotlight over the shower, and then the same vanity. And then almost lastly, the game room. So we've got spotlights, more cans, and then the game room fan, a little bigger. Again, DC motor with the dreaded remote on the wall. I hate it so much. But this fan's actually pretty cool. Then lastly, on this other side of the attic, again, more lighting because I hate dimly lit attics. I've worked in them, last two houses I've owned had a light bulb, and that's just not enough. So again, light bulbs and the rafters. You saw this in the rough end, right? And then I'll take you up here to show you the final. If you remember my attic area, sorry for the bad framing. I'm climbing a ladder while holding a phone and trying not to fall. Remember this. And these light bulbs. We've got our switch up there. Now we've got light all the way down and lights up that whole kind of third floor attic space. It is awesome. So that's lighting, guys. And the final electrical. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, no, I need to take you up here. I need to show you the last sub panel, because if you see down there, big old SCR cable. That's what's feeding it. And that thing was fun to do. Let me take you in here. You get the other lighting too. And maybe I showed this already in the HVAC video, so we'll do a little cross-pollination. Here's the sub panel, right? And it feeds, right? Blower for the furnace and the backup heat strips. And then this utility circuit for the outlet. In this case, we've got one outlet here, GFCI protected here. And then we have another outlet here, just a single duplex, and that is for the ERV, for the HVAC system. So this is what meters in fresh air from the outside when the HVAC system needs it. Since the house is spray foamed, the house is very tight. So you need to get air in, but you want to do it on kind of your own terms versus just building a leaky house. So, okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Long video, but a lot of stuff to cover. So hope you enjoyed all the electrical. As always, thanks for watching.